Demolition, interestingly, at SummerSlam 90, you guys had the 2 out of 3 falls match, and you just didn't really see a great match, as that one gentleman over there agrees with me. Thank you.
Me and that one guy already talked about this tonight.
And but that was like it was because I remember seeing it maybe like '94 because like we got the Coliseum Video Silver version, but it was brilliant, and it was. They had the 3-man team, they had Crush in, there was all these different elements to it, and it felt like even though you guys had won the titles before, when you guys won that night, it was like the Hart Foundation were as popular as ever. What do you remember about that match and, I guess, doing it at SummerSlam again?
Well, the thing that doesn't come across when you watch it on TV anymore is that it turned out that day at the Spectrum in Philadelphia that the heat, the air conditioning went out, and it was in summer, and it was about 120 degrees outside. And it was like an oven in that building. It was so hot. People were sweating and panting in the dressing room. It was so hot, let alone going in the ring and wrestling. So when you watch that match, I was like soaking sweat, just like I took a shower all the way through the match. And I know that there was a part in the match where I was supposed to tag Jim in for Jim to come in and take a little. Give me a little break on the corner where I could rest a little bit because I had to do like the whole ending of the match. But it turned out after took the second fall on whoever took the second fall, I can't remember if it was us or them, but the second fall happened, and it's just so crazy and so hot, and for me it was close to fainting, but I turned out we didn't have time to tag out, and I remember the referee said you got to stay in. There's only you got 3 more minutes, but we got no time to tag Jim in for a rest spot. So that match was me basically wrestling. I think Jim wrestled the first 5 or 10 minutes, but I wrestled maybe the last 20 minutes of it, and that was one of the hardest matches I ever had, mostly from heat exhaustion. It was one of the only matches where I stood up after the end. There's a picture of me and Jim hugging each other when we got the belts. And the truth is, I can remember almost fainting. I was so tired and hot and exhausted. But at the same time, we all were really thrilled with the match. We all thought it went really great. And I thought it was, if anything, it was as good or better than the one we had 2 years earlier. And I remember when I came back to the dressing room, I remember all the wrestlers, which in those days they didn't normally do this kind of stuff. When you watch divas, you think they do this all the time. But I remember when Jim and I walked back in the dressing room, the whole dressing room gave us a standing ovation in the dressing room with Hulk Hogan leading the clap, and that was really special moment for me because I've always thought that Jim and I still think we were the best team for a lot of reasons, that we were just so good at wrestling anybody. We could wrestle the big guys, the little guys, the big and little guys, like mix them together. And, we could pick it up and move really quick. Like when the Hart Foundation had to wrestle the Rockers, Jim could step it up. And Jim was a really fast runner, probably faster runner than either Marty or Sean. And for a guy that was 270 pounds, he was moving like a cat in there compared to most big guys. And it was just, I still really proud of what I did in the ring with Jim the Anvil Neidhart. We had a really special combination as a team.
And just kind of off the back of that, I was thinking about it. There's rumors going around all the time that Vince McMahon hates tag team wrestling. There's these rumors because the last few years tag teams in the main roster haven't done that well, or belts just get turned over to other people, teams split up. When you were there and you were in the Hart Foundation, did you get the vibe that Vince liked tag team wrestling, or is that a myth that he doesn't like it?
When I was tag team with Neidhart, I never sensed that anyone had any issues with tag team wrestling. And I've heard that from pretty good sources that Vince doesn't like tag team wrestling, and kind of almost wanted to quit doing them. I'm not sure what his issues were. I don't even know if it's true, because tag team wrestling is much different than a single match. It's a whole different kind of psychology, and the whole trying to make the tag and trying not to let somebody make that tag is the psychology. And you can have a lot of fun with that. I mean, I think maybe what happened was that a lot of the tag teams that came later, say after Hart Foundation, because after Hart Foundation, I can't remember who was tag team champion after that. There isn't one tag team that stands out in my mind that was able to sort of stand out as a team. If you ask me about any tag teams after 1990, I can't really think of any. None that were like incredible. Yeah, Legion of Doom. They were actually really good, Legion of Doom. But the one match that Jim Neidhart and I had, because Animal and Hawk were close buddies to both of us, and we had a lot of regard for both those guys. And we finally had one match with Legion of Doom. It's on a Coliseum video somewhere, but I can remember it was kind of sad because we were all really excited. And I knew that me and Jim and I were going to split up as a team. And about 2 or 3 weeks after that, we were breaking up, and so it's like they want to have this one match with the Legion of Doom for Coliseum video, and like Joe Animal was really happy, and Jim and I, we really put a lot of thought into our match. And Hawk, I don't know what his problem. Well, we'll never know really, but I remember just before we walked out to the ring, he took about 5 Placidils and threw them in his mouth, and I remember him sticking his tongue out and then swallowing them. And I remember it's like we're up in like 10 minutes. And I remember I remember everyone was like really mad, and Hawk could barely walk. If you watch that match, he was all messed up when he walked out to the ring, which is a credit to Hawk, because if you didn't know, you might not even notice it. But it's just a shame because we tried so hard to have a classic 5-star match that people would remember forever. Hart Foundation versus Legion of Doom, the one time we only wrestled, and Hawk screwed the whole thing up and really ruined the match for all 3 of us, or all 4 of us really. And he always felt bad. I remember Hawk felt bad the next day, but that's just the kind of way it works. Like when you love some of these guys, but they had drug problems, and Hawk was one of those guys that he was always pushing the envelope, and that's why he's not around anymore.